Pluribus is a new sci-fi show on Apple TV Plus created by Vince Gilligan, the TV genius behind Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, two of the best crime shows of the 21st century, maybe of any century. Pluribus is a very different kind of show that harkens back to Gilligan's time writing on The X-Files. It's about a woman named Carol Sturka, whom the tagline for the show describes as the most miserable person on Earth. Even before the big twist, Carol is a self-loathing author who hates that she's made her living writing schlocky romance fiction about bodice-ripping pirates, and things get much worse for her after a bunch of scientists decode a message from outer space that contains a recipe for a kind of virus.
No, it's not that exactly either. It's kind of a psychic glue capable of binding us all together.
After it breaks containment, it bonds everyone on the planet together into one big happy hive mind. Everyone is free of negative emotions, everyone is united in purpose, everyone knows everything that everyone else knows, except for Carol and 12 other people who are immune for reasons as yet unclear. Several 100 million people die during this transition, including Carol's wife Helen, and Carol is left more miserable than ever. I'm loving Pluribus so far. I love that it's a slow burn sci-fi drama that isn't in any big rush to get us to the next huge set piece. And why would it, when there are so many juicy details to savor? Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul had plenty of plot, but they were also famous for these long, silent sequences that were more about setting the tone, and Pluribus has those in spades. We get Carol laying tile over Helen's grave, honoring the dead in a way the hive mind doesn't. We get drones doing slapstick humor. We get these shots that just take me out. This shot, where Carol is despondently watching The Golden Girls and we see Betty White's reflection on the back of the DVD, is insane. Best shot of 2025, movie or TV. Pluribus is the kind of show that creates superfans, because it gives people a lot to chew on, and the ones who bite won't let go. All of Gilligan's shows do this. He's created a community of people who watch TV very closely, because they trust that his shows will be good enough to be worth the effort. And this kind of hyper-attentive fan isn't going to stop at just looking for connections within Pluribus. You know, like what clues we've been given about the hive mind, what details have we missed, but also between Pluribus and Gilligan's other shows. They're going to ask, is Pluribus set in the same world as Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul? That's what we're going to talk about today on a very short, very lightweight episode of... Obviously, Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul take place in the same universe. Breaking Bad is about mild-mannered chemistry teacher turned ruthless drug kingpin Walter White, and Better Call Saul is a prequel story about his sleazy lawyer Saul Goodman. If Pluribus is indeed set in the same world, the idea is that it would be a sequel show that takes place after those other two shows have wrapped up. So everyone who survived Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul has been subsumed into the hive mind. That would include morally flexible attorney Kim Wexler from Better Call Saul. Kim is played by Rhea Seehorn, who also plays Carol in Pluribus. Obviously, Carol and Kim are different people, so if these shows really are set in the same universe, how is it possible that they look exactly alike? Well, when you're dealing with these kind of frivolous questions, you get to draw lines wherever it's most convenient for you, and I'm drawing one here. Carol and Kim are two different people who just happen to look a lot alike. That kind of thing happens. Have you ever been told that you look like someone, like a celebrity or something, perhaps one you've never heard of? I have. I'd like to take a moment and establish that I'm not crazy for asking this question. If you ask Google whether Pluribus is set in the Breaking Bad universe, it'll tell you no, and then cite a bunch of articles backing up its conclusion. But if you actually read those articles, I don't think they say what the AI says they say. For instance, Google links to this Screen Rant article and helpfully highlights the text, Pluribus is an entirely different genre from the crime saga of Breaking Bad, which never delves into any supernatural or sci-fi concepts. But aha! The fact that these shows are in different genres doesn't mean they don't take place in the same universe. There could have been aliens running around Breaking Bad the whole time. Walter White just never noticed. Google also points to a TV Insider interview with Vince Gilligan where he says, there might be some Easter eggs along the way, but I can't imagine Carol running into Kim Wexler. That would be pretty weird. But aha! Just because it would be weird to see these two together doesn't mean that Kim isn't out there somewhere, happily slaving away for the hive mind. I could not find any interview where Vince Gilligan conclusively says that Pluribus does not take place in the same universe as Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. I found some where he got close, like this interview from The Hollywood Reporter, but nothing definitive. I've also found somewhere he waffles. Like in that same Hollywood Reporter interview, Gilligan says that while he sees any Breaking Bad references in Pluribus as just fun Easter eggs, I could be wrong. Maybe we'll discover that this is a prequel, but I would be surprised. As far as I'm concerned, Gilligan has left a little bit of room for ambiguity, and a little bit of room is all I need. Also, some of these Easter eggs do seem kind of hard to ignore. So on both Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, there is a fictional airline called Wayfarer. Wayfarer plays a big role in the second season of Breaking Bad, where Walt makes a decision that indirectly leads to a Wayfarer plane crashing in midair, resulting in the deaths of well over 100 people. Saul takes a Wayfarer flight in Better Call Saul, and then in Pluribus, Carol takes a Wayfarer flight around the world to meet with a few of the other people who, like her, are immune to the hive mind. Then there's Fionacom, a fictional telecom company we see posters for in Better Call Saul. In Pluribus, we see that Helen got a bill from Fionacom, maybe for her and Carol's cable or internet or something. Vince Gilligan thinks of these as fun little winks and nods that don't mean much. And to be fair, he has done this kind of thing before. For example, there's an X-Files episode where Mulder keeps going to the bank and it keeps blowing up over and over again in a time loop. That same bank he goes to, Craddock Marine, turns up in both Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. Never as a main plot point, it's just kind of the bank of choice whenever a character needs to cash a check or make a deposit or something. But that doesn't mean that Breaking Bad takes place in the same world as the X-Files. Probably. But there are only so many references you can make before this starts to feel kind of weird. Wayfarer and Fionacom are fictional companies that exist in exactly 3 places, in Breaking Bad, in Better Call Saul, and now in Pluribus. 2 of those shows are definitely set in the same universe. How many references can you drop before the third gets pulled into their orbit by default? You know, at some point after you release a show or a movie or a book or whatever into the world, it doesn't really belong to you anymore. The audience will decide what it means to them. And if there's enough evidence, they might eventually decide that Pluribus is set in the same world as Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, whether or not Gilligan agrees with them, and then it'll be out of his hands. As I record this, the first season of Pluribus is over halfway done, and it sounds like there are more Easter eggs on the way. The Hollywood Reporter says that there's one involving Lydia Rodart Quayle, the drug-running businesswoman from Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, so look out for that. And one of these days, there could be one Easter egg too many, and this fan theory will become fan fact. But if that happens, would it make much of a difference? I'd say definitely no. Not unless they do something really drastic, like Jesse Pinkman breaks free of the hive mind's control and replaces Carol as the main character. But I don't think anybody expects that to happen. One of the best things about Pluribus is that it's so different from anything else we've seen on TV. It's an inverted zombie story where the Walking Dead just want to make you happy, made without any big stars and with the full support of the giant sci-fi dorks over at Apple TV+, who have already guaranteed it a second season. At this point, Vince Gilligan is predicting that the show could run for around 4 seasons, and given the excellent ratings for the premiere, I think he'll get to go the distance. Apple has made multiple seasons of other expensive sci-fi shows that didn't have anywhere near the buzz of Pluribus, so I don't know why they wouldn't back this one all the way. This could be a massive win, for me, for you, for TV, for everyone. Imagine an epic sci-fi series that plays out over years, made with the same care and attention to detail that Vince Gilligan and his team gave to Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. In an era where TV studios are tightening their belts and giving us fewer episodes per season, where they're leaning into big IP and away from originality, where AI is pounding on the door, waiting to turn our entertainment into plagiarized slop, Pluribus is a bold new leap into the unknown from a guy who knows the territory, and that has me very excited. So what does it matter then if we see that Marie Schrader or whoever is now part of the Hive? If Pluribus lives up to its potential, no one will be asking whether it's part of the Breaking Bad universe. It'll be the other way around.